Keep them organized. Keep your notes organized. It
Oh, I
help you.
do.
Very important. Very important.
Yep.
Very, very.
I have specific notebooks for specific like modules and sessions.
Yeah. Good. 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 Good.
So
Yeah.
so my last day.
Some point, I'd recommend you put them online. Because then you can sort them, you can search them, and they become much more usable. Then, yeah. Yeah.
I definitely
And
will when I
particularly,
have a little bit more time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, start with your dictionary of power. That's the one that benefits the most because then you can sort them.
That one
Uh,
is already on my computer.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I just add to it.
good.
It's just
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the rest of it is just still kind of
yeah.
on
No
a
worries.
notebook.
No worries. No worries. All right. Where are we at? What's happening? What's been happening? How's the new job? How's the new job going?
I love the new job. I go back. Last week was all training. This week is going to be partially training, and then I'm on my own by Thursday.
Ah,
Um,
excellent.
but like let's see what else is going on. Starting the process. Oh, if really quick, if I could have you email me kind of like a character reference for to be able to get off of the registry as to basically like what we're working on. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
like, things like that.
Yeah.
And that way, like you would be considered a reputable person. And
Oh, okay.
so, yeah. So like because you're also very much so a big part of my recovery, my
Yeah. Yeah.
PTSD, trauma recovery, things like that. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
so in my healing, my self-healing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So
Yeah.
that will help a lot. I'm getting letters from, I got a letter from Cher. I got a letter from my old therapist, and then I'm getting a letter from my um uh, I still have to have a psych doctor on board for until I'm off the registry, but after that, I'm done. Like, because my goal is to try and get off of the rest of my psych medications, just except for, yeah, just because of the simple fact that I'm noticing that they're doing more harm than good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They lose
I,
effectiveness after a while. Yeah. Yeah. They
well,
become.
that, but also like I'm on the highest dose of, because like I went back on my ADHD medication, but I'm on the highest dose and I become too dependent on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep. 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 Yep.
I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to be able to depend on my ability to shift my own perspective, my own way of being able to do things and make it work for me, not against me.
Yeah.
It's it is easy to do. And also once CJ gets his all of his residential or all that stuff done, then we're gonna start taking steps for CJ to come back. So we're gonna basically do an increments at first of like visitations to where like he comes down here during the summer for like 2 to 3 weeks, and then um
You got to take that in baby steps
yep,
because
that's why we're doing that in
uh,
baby steps.
I mean, if
Yep.
he acts up the way he does with sure, this is going to be very stressful for you. It's going to really turn your world upside down.
Yeah,
If
and
he gets
that's why
in
I told
trouble and you
her.
got to deal with police, it's going to really cause you lots of trouble. So
Yeah, that's
I'd be
why
very,
we
yeah,
decided to do little increments like that. We can do like
yeah,
he's okay with like up to 3 weeks. That is the max. Two with the
yeah.
but like that's why I said 2, 3 weeks. So if by like the second week he wants to go back, then that's
I,
fine.
I,
We can take him
I
back.
I would even recommend just a weekend to start with.
No,
Uh,
that's a lot of money to be able to do a
Yeah, see,
weekend.
that's what I was saying. That's the problem, that okay, you got the travel and the money. Also, at this stage, uh, I wouldn't take very seriously or put a lot of stock in. CJ's assessment of his own abilities.
No, I know. I'm not.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, that's what
yeah.
it comes across like that with Cher. But I also noticed, and this is something she kind of got a little irritated with me because I called her out. Um, she she kind of she didn't keep it short and simple with him when it came to I need you to bring me down, what you took. Um, he took, I don't know, a lid to something. And I was like, you don't need to consistently call him Caden. You call him Caden to get his attention, and then you speak. Now, when he's asking you tonight, because he asked her, he said, "Can you stop calling me that?" And then, or can you not call me that? And then, like, she kept saying it over and over and over and over again, and it was antagonizing him. And
Mm.
then, like, I noticed that. I also told her at the same time, though, that he needed to handle that a lot better and 10 times better than what he did. And with him continuously coming down and trying to keep up the high negative energy is not good on his part either. He needs to learn to regulate himself.
Yeah.
And I said, so it's not one way or the other. I'm seeing both sides. I'm seeing that,
Yeah.
your energy, you're amped up, your energy level is depleted. So of course you're gonna be a little more angry. And I said, and also you have to understand too, his energy level's depleted too. He's
Yeah.
trying to, they're both trying to do something here. And yes, CJ he knows what he's doing is wrong. He definitely does. And it's the unwillingness to work with it and to work
Yeah.
on it and to understand it. Um,
Ah,
so I did let her know that we did talk and we talked it through. But I told her, I said, the state won't give him back to me. They won't put him back in my custody while he's like this.
correct.
So
Yeah.
they've got to, because we're finding out quickly that the state of Texas works way differently than the state of Nebraska.
Interesting.
Yeah. Um, and so like
Not
I also talked
surprising,
her
but
through,
yeah.
yeah, I talked her through the whole CPS thing because CPS got called on her. Um, and I talked her through it and I said, Mom, I said, the one thing you have to understand is that you're doing the best you can. And also, you did not harm him. You pushed him away out of self-defense. You didn't leave a mark on him. You didn't spank him. You pushed him away because what are you supposed to do? Just let him drag you to the ground and beat the shit out of you with a hammer? No.
Yeah.
And nobody else knew. And like even the CPS worker didn't take into consideration about his history, about what he has done in the past. And I said, you have plenty of people who can back you up in his behavior
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
witnessed. I said, on top of that, they need to look into the APS cases that are against him
Yeah. Yeah. No,
or
for
that have
sure.
been reported. Um, so I was trying to basically, I helped her kind of not let her, not, I didn't help her. I walked her through and by giving her different pieces of realistic knowledge, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
as to so she didn't make herself go down that rabbit hole. That one of um self it was self-destruction essentially in her thinking.
Mm.
Because I know how she likes to do that sometimes. She doesn't do it all the time as much as she used to, which she's improving very much on, and I'm very proud of that. Um, and proud of her as a human being for doing that kind of stuff. Um, and I don't fault her for doing it now and not doing it when I was a
Yeah.
kid because she didn't know any different. She was
Yeah.
very much so stuck in her own bubble of unawareness. Um, so yeah, there's all that, and there's a lot that's going to entail in this. This isn't gonna be like, say, within the next, like, 3 to 6 months. It's gonna take time for the transition from him being there to here, and also for we have to give the time for, like, him to get all of his psychological stuff, like, figured out, for us to figure it out for him, so we know the best route to take for him to redirect him and redirect his behaviors, things like that.
Yeah.
I've learned to calm him down. I've learned how to calm him down. And just the way of changing how I say things. Um, I'm
Yeah.
not
Just
doing it.
be super careful,
Mhm.
because you also are in a situation of being a leverage point right now for CJ, right? So of
Yeah.
course the behavior towards you is all in order to get something that he wants. Right now he's in
However,
manipulation mode, so just be very
oh
careful.
yeah, no, I know, and I see it. That's the thing, is I see it. I'm not.
Yeah, no, just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
No, I know, but you and Sheriff said the same thing to me, and I'm like, no, I get it, I see it, and that's it kind of does, like, irritate me. I'm just talking about, like, how, um I'm talking about how I'm learning the ability to talk to him in a different way,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
can get him to see what is, you know what I mean. I know he's manipulative. I'm very cautious of him. That's
yeah.
why
Good,
when
good,
I
good.
don't feel like talking to him because I know that he's in high emotion or whatever, then I won't talk to him
Yeah,
because I know that he will try to manipulate me. I know this. I very much so am very aware of it. Um, I'm very aware of how he is. I'm very aware of what stage he's in. I very aware of what his state of mind is.
yeah.
Like, when he asked for things like Robux and stuff like that, I don't respond to those emails. I won't. And reason being
When
is
he does
because
what? When he does what?
he'll ask for things like Robux. It's for
Oh,
the game Roblox. It's a kid's game. And then he'll ask for other things. And I'm like, we'll see. Like, if he's on, we're on video, I'm like, we'll see.
yeah,
We'll see. And I'm setting those boundaries with him. Like, if I need to sleep because I worked a 16-hour shift, from 4 p.m. to 8 a.m., I will let him know that ahead of time and say, look, don't call me during this time. And if he tries to email me and say, can we call? Because he actually makes sure that, like, for me, he knows that he's got to ask if he can call me. He can't just
yeah,
call me randomly because I will not answer. I will refuse to. However, like, I understand both sides of it is what I'm saying. I have this I've always had this ability to be able to understand things from an outside perspective.
excellent, excellent, excellent.
For
Yeah,
an inside perspective, it's a little harder for me. However, from an outside perspective, I can also see CJ for what he's doing currently and how he's doing things. Um, will I ever, do I trust him? Not necessarily fully. It's with extreme caution with him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Extreme caution.
That's
I
good.
don't believe everything he says.
Good, 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 good.
And
Yeah,
if I don't believe it, I will not comment on it because I
yeah,
know that in this state of mind, where he's at, if I tell him, well, are you sure that's how it happened? He's gonna blow up, and then he's gonna take it out on grandma. And I
yeah,
know this.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I just basically try to help, like, I'm able to help diffuse some of the situation. However, not always. There are times where he'll hang up on me because he doesn't like what I have to say.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah,
Because he doesn't like how I call him out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, you know, that's the thing, is that, like, he's got to, he knows somewhat that he'll eventually be coming back to me, but it's not going to be like I said, it's not going to be within 3 to 6 or 9 months. It's going to be, we have to do a slow transition.
Yeah.
Because the kid hasn't been with me for what, 4 years now, 5,
Yeah. Yeah.
this year will be 5 years in October.
It's a big shift. It's a very big shift.
Hmm.
Yeah. For both of you. For both of you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I already told her too, like I'm still working on a lot of things too, so I need time. I'm nervous, like, at the thought of him coming to me, yes, I'm very nervous because I
Good.
don't want to screw this up. You know what I mean? Like and that it says something about me, knowing
Uh,
that like I'm also very throwing a caution to the wind for myself too. Um,
you'll be
Making sure
moving
that,
as well, right? You'll be moving
huh?
soon. You'll be moving soon, no?
Yeah, and we are moving soon too. And that's why I let her know, like, I would like him to get some more help before like psychological help before they've got him on risperidone, which is actually a really good medication, just for temporarily use, you know what I mean? Um, it helps, it helps with schizoaffective disorder, which that's basically bipolar disorder mixed with schizophrenia. And then it
Mm,
also helps with bipolar disorder, but it also helps with um anger outbursts in children.
yeah. Yeah. Good. 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 Calm him down a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he went to sleep within an hour of taking his medication, she said,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
because they increased his quantity. They took him off the Abilify, put him on Depakote, or kept him on Depakote, and added risperidone. Now, the only thing I did tell her to keep, I did send her a list of side effects. I said, be watchful of this because sometimes risperidone can cause an increase in aggression. It's just a
Mm,
really watch for those side effects of that medication. Um, because there are others that are less abrasive, that can work too. So I said, just definitely make sure that you're very cautious of that. Take note of any sort of increase in aggression, depression, anxiety, things like that, because it can cause that.
excellent.
Um, and I let her know like the symptom, like, what other side effects there are and things like that. Um, so basically, what risperidone does at times is also it suppresses the testosterone level, and in both male and female, and it increases the prolactin level,
Mm,
which is what women produce when they're pregnant. So more of we all have prolactin in our system or in our
yeah.
bodies, but it just produces more of them. So it tricks your body into thinking that you're pregnant. It's so
Interesting.
weird.
Interesting. Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
weird. That's most interesting. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Wow.
So there's that. But no, and I did make sure that my last day with New Life is Saturday. I'm done with them after that. Um, I
Yeah.
did,
Just leave
however,
on really
before I,
good terms, obviously. Yeah.
huh?
I say, yeah, leave on really good terms. Yes.
Yes, we're leaving on really good terms. They understand why I'm leaving.
Good. Good.
And it's not, and I told them, I just like, I need something different right now. This isn't for me,
Yeah.
right now in this current moment in time. Um, just not mentally or emotionally equipped right now to keep
Yeah.
going with this.
Yeah.
However, before I did leave, or before I am leaving, I'm finishing up the other training sheets for new hires.
Yeah.
Because
Good.
they have me training every new hire at this point. And so, because
Yeah.
I train, like, I train people the way it's supposed to be done, or needs to be done, not supposed to,
Yeah.
the way it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so they like the way and how thorough I am with my training. And so far, everybody that I've trained has stayed on staff.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
So I
Are you
am
like
making,
writing a training manual or something like that?
yep,
Oh,
I'm writing that. That way they have it. Um, and then I wrote one for transitional, and then now I'm writing one for the residential. I couldn't think of that for a minute.
good,
I
good.
have not gotten a chance to do let's see, any more of the session or module there's module 2. No,
Yeah.
module 2, session
What
2. Um
moment of now?
I haven't finished it, I don't think.
Oh, was
Because
module one.
we were doing it on Zoom, but our
Oh, you
last
did it.
meeting, but I
Good,
didn't get to
good,
finish it up
good.
because I
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
this overnights doing the 16 hours really like I
Yeah.
slept a good hot
Processing,
minute
yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. One point before we move away from Sher and CJ, be exceedingly careful of micromanaging when it comes to parenting. If there's one thing that causes parent stress, it's that. Because it's just hard to get it right, and it's just that's something that requires lots of diplomacy, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah. No, and I don't always do that. I just needed to point that out in that moment.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
just keep it short and simple.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
To develop a
she will
style
follow
of,
Cher.
yeah,
Here's something I know about Cher is she will follow you around and
uh,
keep talking about the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's just like, stop. I heard you the first time. And to me, even to my brothers, it was always irritating. And she's done the same thing I've seen multiple times in the past with CJ as well as current. And it's like, just keep it short and simple. That's it. And you're done. You don't need to go into a whole explanation. You don't need, because he's not going to listen at that point. He's going to
yeah,
end up like closing you off and yelling at you and creating more of a ruckus. Short and simple, that is it. Um, because the over explanation can get very, very
mm, mm.
um annoying too much because she has a tendency to follow people around and just keep going.
Interesting.
And I'm like, Cher, like you've got to stop doing that. Like it will.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I know
that's
that she's
the way.
dealing with some PTSD when it comes to the
Oh,
state and the system and all that stuff. But
yeah,
this is where she gave up on all of us. When we got involved, she kind of gave up. And I'm trying to help her, like help kind of help I guess help give or not help, I guess. Let me rephrase that. I'm trying to give
assist.
little reminders and little like um that she's got this, if that makes sense. That, I'm here, and yesterday I just let her vent. She kept messaging me and she goes, I'm sorry, you must be busy or anything. I said, no, I said, I'm just sitting here and I'm reading while you're venting.
Mm,
Reading what you're saying while you're venting. That's all I was doing. I was just giving her a safe space to vent and to talk and to, text whatever it is that she wants to text,
yeah,
to get it all out,
yeah.
you
Good.
know.
Be there to
Um,
exactly, exactly, exactly.
I'm learning how to give her a safe space to be able to talk
Yeah, yeah.
as a
Good,
human.
good,
As it,
good.
we're not even going based on the lines of the fact that she's my mom.
Yeah.
I'm giving her that safe space as a human being to be able
Yeah.
to vent and talk.
Excellent. Excellent.
I don't give any advice. I
Just
validate that,
hearing
you
her.
know,
That's all you gotta do is just hearing her. Yeah.
yep. So I just do that. That's what I did yesterday. She thought I would stop reading them. I'm like, no, I'm reading them. I'm purposely not responding because I'm listening. I'm hearing you.
Good, 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 good.
So,
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
learning here and there on how to do certain things and
Yes.
things that
Yeah.
I've learned throughout the modules. And
Wonderful. Wonderful.
so I'm learning to put them into actual practice. And, you know, apply them when needed, which is every
Yeah.
day, all day. But, you know,
There you go. Applications. All about applications. Brilliant. Brilliant.
yes.
Very good. Very good. All right.
Okay, so we are on. I do have to be at work by 9:45, so I do have to we have to stop like right at 8.
Yeah. 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 No problem. No.
Okay.
No problem. No problem.
So I can finish getting ready. I'm waiting for other clothes to dry.
Yeah. No problem. We're on the moment of now.
Yes.
And you did some repeat backs and takeaways on some of these.
Not yet because I didn't bring my computer with me and I was battling
Oh, I
being
don't
extremely
know.
tired this weekend.
I just thought you said you made some notes of something.
Um,
Did I?
I made some notes while we were talking that
Oh,
last
I
time.
see. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. You remember what slide we were on?
Yes, we were on, let's see. There were questions that were, let me look here. There were questions that we had that were on there. It's like, how can I look at this moment differently? Where and what is the gift in it? And what am I aware of? What am I unaware of in this moment? That was the last question that we were on when it came to the slides. It was the quotes that would like the questions. Let me look
Yeah.
here. If you
Because they
screen share,
all, right. All of these are responses to the question of how can I look at the moment differently? Right?
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we went to symbolically, metaphorically, emphasis, and unhooking too. Those are the things that we talked about as well, which I know what I'm talking about. I know
Yeah.
they're in my dictionary power now.
Yeah.
But
One.
if we screen share,
Yeah.
I talk to share too much. Um,
No, that's
I'll
all
be
right.
able to tell you exactly what slide we're on. If you want to go, it was past
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
because I
just moving.
remember.
There we go. Just moving you a little bit. There we go.
There we
Otherwise,
go.
you cover the corner there.
I had to
Yeah.
move you so I could see. What is
Yeah.
that box up there for? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. What am I
Okay.
unaware of? Did
Yep.
that. Yeah. How can I change my perspective? What is the
Yep.
abstract now? Symbolically, metaphorically. What is underneath this? Oh,
Yep. Or by unhooking my defaults.
yeah. Yeah. There's another underneath this, even more. Two of them.
Hmm.
You can be
Okay.
thankful.
Yeah, we were talking about this too. You can't be thankful and complain at the same time. And I really do love that just for the simple fact that you really can't. Like
Yeah.
if and this is what I was thinking about and while you're talking too, is that
Yeah.
because and I can see how this one really resonates with me because I see this so often and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
how can you say that? However, you're complaining about something, but however, how are you still grateful for that same exact thing you're
Yes.
complaining about?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
no, it doesn't work that way.
Nope. Nope. All right. So on the same note, uh, Cheryl was on yesterday, and Cheryl was saying about uh, a potential argument with her husband. Right
Yeah.
now, it's not a new thing. So But this time she said, wait. He got into the whole argument mode and, I want you to listen to me and all the stuff, right? And he said, okay, I'll listen to you. I'll hear what you have to say. However, for whatever thing you say that's negative about me, you have to follow it up with something that's positive.
Love it.
Right? And she said, well, the end result was a very short argument. Yeah. I mean, he did say the things that were negative, and she said, yeah, okay, fair point. I hear you. I acknowledge that, and I'll work on it, and so on. And then he
Yeah.
said something positive, and then he had to start again with a negative and say, okay, where's the positive? And he kind of got a bit stuck. And like, and then of course he just started laughing, and the thing fell apart. So it's the same thing. We can't be thankful and complain at the same time, right? So if
Exactly.
if you ever find yourself getting into an argument with Natalie, I hope you never ever do. Make this rule that if you're going to say something negative, that's to be followed by something positive.
It's actually been a long time since we've had an argument. And
Good for
it's
you.
typically when we're both stuck in our egotistical, arrogant state of mind, and then we think about our sides and the other person's side. We didn't do this one, but
This is where we are on page 8.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the thing is that like with us, we have learned to communicate with things and to be able to um make sure that we hear each other's sides out first.
Excellent. Excellent.
So that's a
Awesome.
good thing. So if I were the universe, what would I tell myself right now? Get your shit together. Sorry. It's just
So all of these questions are techniques and mechanisms for perspective shifting when we stuck, right? So how can I look at this moment differently? They're perspective shifting techniques when we get stuck or when we are stuck in some way, right? So these are unstucking techniques,
yes.
unstucking tools, right? Not unsticking,
I'm
unstucking.
stuck in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just a new word I made up, but it's appropriate, right? So
Hey, I love it.
unstucking, it's a thing. Yeah, it's very cool. So these are all unstucking tools. Very powerful. I mean, you just ask that question. If I were the universe, what would I tell myself right now? You know, and also like when you're a bit down or, I think even things are going good. You say, you see, things there are, but there's a lot of things. When you have that universal perspective, it changes everything. It's very profound, very profound. It's really a cool technique, to just zoom out and zoom out,
Yep.
When you, especially like when people are a bit overly self-important. If I was, what I tell her, hey, you know what? When I look down there, I see millions and billions of you. It's like, seriously, dude, it's not all about you.
Yeah, exactly. My poem was actually, or my quote, or not poem, whatever it was, but I think it was more of a quote. But that was something that I thought about when I was thinking about like how I am able to think things through, when I feel stuck, and how I am
Yeah,
able to process how to get unstuck.
yeah, yeah,
The one that I wrote about, like, when one door closes
yeah, yeah.
and you feel like you're stuck,
Exactly.
and it's really, no, you're not stuck. That is the test. That is the
Yeah,
time where you're going to get
yeah,
tested to see if you've
yeah,
learned anything from the
yeah,
previous,
yeah, yeah,
place. And, and if you haven't, then it's going to keep throwing you things in your way to say,
yeah,
no, this is a lesson you clearly have to learn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. It's very powerful. There's always something to learn. Always something. Right. So you can say, or we can ask, remember past moments where you shifted perspective, changed, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck. Try and remember when you had been stuck before and what you did to get out of it then. Right?
Yep.
Very useful. Very useful. Very useful.
I
And a
do that
very appropriate,
automatically.
appropriate image there. You know, with the time, past, present,
Yep,
future.
I
Yeah.
love
So,
it.
all right. If I am a character in a novel, what can I do that would change the plot significantly? That's a very cool question, is it not?
I do. I love that. Yeah, it is. It's very, very cool. I love because yeah,
Right.
you are the main character in your own story.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, how often in your own life do you shout, "Hey, plot twist," and
I need to do that more often,
there
actually.
you go. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Just doing things sometimes simply for the reason of change, just to break our patterns so that we can get some perspective on our patterns and to ensure that we aren't locked into our patterns. To change it for no other reason than change is very,
Yep.
very useful and
Well,
powerful.
that's
Yeah.
another thing I love. I also love saying, there's another saying I love, you know, saying to out loud even is, if there's something that I really don't want to do, but I know that, it's necessary. I
Mm,
always say, well, it'll be fun, just like an adventure.
mm, mm.
It just it helps change my attitude, my perspective on it, because it's like, okay, no, we can make this interesting, but not in an unhealthy way, you know.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
can
Exactly.
create my own fun with it, and I will learn more from it.
Yeah. Very important. Very, very, very important. All right. Do you read that one, please?
Oh, um, or how can I surprise myself? What would I original ordinarily not do? Okay, let me read that, because I was like, I tried to say originally, it's not originally.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Again, yeah, yeah.
Yep. So, or how can I surprise myself? What would I wow,
Ordinarily.
ordinarily do? I had to slow down. Ordinarily do. What would I ordinarily do?
Ordinarily not
Okay,
do.
so
What would I ordinarily not do?
not do.
Yeah, not do.
Yes. My brain kind of I got a little super excited over there for a minute there.
It happens.
Uh, how can I surprise myself? What would I ordinarily not do? Well, take things in stride.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you just answer that question in kind of different ways, it's, well, how can I surprise myself? Well, okay, let's say, I don't think this is necessarily for you, but let's say somebody who's a worry pot. Well, I can surprise myself by not worrying. I wouldn't ordinarily not worry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can surprise myself by not being stressed. I can surprise myself by taking a chance. There's lots of ways to surprise ourselves, right?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
we always have ways to surprise ourselves.
so on this point of surprising ourselves, uh, it is most helpful to set an intent to surprise yourself, to
Yes.
start looking out, to start paying attention for self surprises. It is a profound thing to be surprised by ourselves. It is a really, really incredibly profound thing. A very big deal. Very, very big deal. Highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Oh, very much so.
Because that way we open up the door for other aspects of ourself and the universe and just life and everything um, to come into play, right? And it enables us to jump tracks when we need to. Yeah.
Well, it does, because it also helps, like change your perspective on things and have more of a 360 view on yourself, as well as it's always great to surprise yourself. To be honest, that's also a great practice to be okay with surprises.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Because if we can be okay with surprising ourselves and surprises in general, we have learned to be flexible, fluid, and adaptable, which means we can be appropriate, right?
Yes. It also helps in the aspect of
Cool.
change too.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. Exactly. You can handle change. And
yep.
when you see people who struggle, it's because they cannot handle change, right? They get all discombobulated by
Mhm.
change. They can't
I
deal with
used to be
surprises.
that way.
Yeah.
I used to be very much so that way. Because, and that's the thing is, but I was associating surprises with things that were not good. That's why always
Correct.
did not like surprises.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. And good or not good, we need to deal with them both ways, right? So either way, you can't say, "Well, I don't care for surprises because it's not nice." I got to deal with it either way, right? So
Well,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
either way you have to deal with it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing is that, yeah, not always every surprise is a good surprise, but however, you can still learn how, like you said, how to adapt to it, how to,
Exactly.
um, be more fluid and flexible with it and learn how to better see it in a different light. Okay, well, especially like, okay, so let's take for instance, when I came to Lincoln and then, I find out I have cancer. Well, that was a surprise that I didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
However, I also went back and, I I thought back about like I don't know, I always looked up to my dad a lot. So like to Larry. So like
Yeah.
but I didn't just lay down and give up about it. What I did do was, the strength in it. The I will take care of myself until I no longer can.
There you go.
Um
There you go.
and I will ask for help when I need to. This
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a bad thing, using my own determination and my own positive healthy stubbornness, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah.
um you know in not allowing myself to get down about it, because that's just going to make things
Right.
worse for
Right.
me
Right.
in the
Right.
long run.
Yeah. So these questions aren't only for when we're stuck. They aren't only for unstucking, but they're also for dealing with surprises. Like in the situation with the cancer. If you had said in that moment you find out you got cancer, how can I surprise myself? What would I ordinarily not do in that moment? See what I mean? If you said, "Oh,
Yeah.
how can I surprise myself?" I say, "Wow, I can treat this as a challenge. I can treat it as a gift, whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's I guess I didn't actually, I didn't necessarily like ask myself how I can surprise myself in that moment, which I know that it would have been a
Yeah.
good idea. But what I what I did do was, the challenge part. I'm like, okay, bet we're gonna make this a challenge and I'm gonna
There you
beat this.
go. There you
And,
go. Exactly.
I'm strong and I can do this and I can,
Right.
continue to do things, a different lifestyle, things like that that can help
Yeah. Yeah.
improve my chances. I was very proactive with it. You
Exactly.
know, definitely learned all that I could learn about like my lifestyles and letting things get to me. And also, it did give me a gift. It did
Yeah.
show me how strong I truly am as a person,
Yeah.
but also it showed me that life is so like I used to take life for granted. Like
There you
seriously
go.
used to
There
take it for
you go.
granted until that. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, I can't
Yeah.
do that. Life is a precious
Yeah.
gift, and we need to treat it that
Exactly.
like I
Exactly.
need to treat it that way,
Exactly.
like every day.
Exactly. And this brings up obviously what is likely to be one of the questions here. What is the gift in this, the capital G gift, right?
Hmm.
It's very powerful. So I'm pretty sure that it's coming up as one of them.
Actually, it was
Was
one that
already?
was actually asked already. Yeah, Where or what is the gift in
We already
in
did it.
this? Yeah.
Right. So in that moment of cancer, if you think back now, if you look back on it, what was the gift in it?
Yep. Oh, when I think about it now,
Yeah,
um,
from your perspective now, looking
it
back,
it
what was the
changed
gift
my
in it?
perspective on life, and it
There
changed
you
my
go.
perspective on
Oh,
myself.
oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I also would sort of assume that, you say, well, if I was a universe, what would I say to myself? The universe saying, listen, it's time to stop being a freaking spoiled little brat and realize that, hey, life is precious and can
Yep.
get your ass in gear and start living purposely and deliberately, right? Because, you're fucking around here and time is short. You could snuff
Yeah.
it any day. It's like, what the fuck? So it was a massive, massive wake up call, no?
It was a huge wake up call. Um,
Nothing crazy. People say, "Oh, I
yeah,
got cancer," or the worst day of my life. But you could maybe say it was one of the best days of your life, no?
it was, because it did, there's it was my wake up call to say, hey, you really, really need to stop,
Yeah,
relying so much on other people to fix things for you. This is something you
there
got to
you
fix
go.
now. You know what I
There
mean?
you go. There you go. Yes, 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 yes.
And in
That.
reality, I did
Yeah,
create my own, I mean, cancer, so it was something I think was self-created. And reason being is because of all the negativity I held on to, all the resentment I held on to, all of, and once I started to let go of all of that resentment and that negativity, my cancer started to actually improve. Like
there
it
you
really
go.
did.
There you go.
And then it started to
Yeah,
get better, and
yeah.
next thing I know, I'm in remission. I'm like, oh
There you
hey.
go. There you go. There you go. So, another thing that you learned that was truly profound from that whole experience is that the end of the world is seldom the end of the world.
Yep,
It's not necessarily the end of the world, right?
it's how I
But
perceive it.
how many people just assume, oh, if you get cancer and you get told you cancer, oh my God, the end of the world. No, it's
So
not.
many, so
Yeah,
many, and it's really not. It really isn't. Even if you're terminal and you're stage 4, you could still. It's not
exactly.
the end of the world.
Yeah, yeah,
You can still, you can still live longer, if you just don't put all those poisons in your body that they say will cure cancer. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It's all a propaganda to have more money. They
yeah.
don't care whether or not you die.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? You're a paycheck to them. Like they really care that you die. Um, so they're going to push all these very, expensive medications and treatments and all this other stuff, and you have long lasting effects from them, um because your body now has to reheal itself more. It takes more energy and a harder time
Yeah,
to or longer time, not harder time, but a longer time to heal from that than if you were to live your life and have a longer life, have more time to appreciate life before your physical vessel you know uh perishes,
yeah,
because in spirit you're always gonna be around. You're always I don't have this belief that you go to heaven or hell. I believe that we create our own purgatory. We create our own hell, and whatever we create, if we were to do that, um
yeah,
is
yeah,
what we live even after, even when our physical body is not here. And also, you can be, and then where it would be like, you can be I definitely do believe in reincarnation. I believe that we have multiple lives. I believe that we've always had multiple lives. It's not just the same, something different, because if you really think about it, all those people who are considered old souls are those who've lived multiple lives over and over again. And the ones who, you don't see so much as an old soul, or they don't have really much of that old soul type. To me, I'm like, those are more like the infants that never made it at first, because it wasn't their time. But I think that I really do feel that
So
way. I really do.
one way of looking at this, it's very helpful. So
What
if
can
we
I
say,
align to?
okay, well, besides this, I wanna just jump onto the thing of of, of life and afterlife and alternative lives, whatever you want.
Yeah.
At the reality,
You're
if
starting to
you
cut
want to
out.
call it that. Or there's another perspective of this. And look at it. Yeah. One moment. Oh, yeah, that's why. So if we look at it from a scientific, E is equal to mc squared, and you rearrange the equation because you can do that with the equation, right? And then you get m is equal to E divided by c squared, right? Yeah, so write that down. M divided by E squared. Okay, it's the same as E equal mc squared. Okay, right?
Yep.
It's the same. It's the same equation. All right. So now we say, what does this mean? Okay, E equal mc squared is energy is equal to mass times the speed of light squared. But now let's take it when it's at m, which is mass or matter, same thing, right? Material, yeah, is equal to energy divided by the speed of light squared. Now, to simplify it, we'll say speed of light squared is this very big number, right? It's not infinity as some people think, right? It's not. It's a finite number, right? It's just a very large number, okay? So we've got mass, material, is energy that's been divided by a very large number. Now, what does divided mean in this instance? This is something that Einstein or the physicists never address. They never tell you, well, okay, beside the mathematical operation, what does it mean in actuality, in reality, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I would say if you take energy and you divide it by anything, right? Don't you slow it down,
Yes, you do.
right? Okay. So we know this already, right? If you, it's called, I think, Brownian movement or Brownian movement. If you look at like steam and you look at the molecules under a microscope, you'll see that they're like zipping around like crazy, right? They're really moving very fast. Yeah.
Yep.
But when they're in water, they don't go quite as fast. And when they're in ice, well, then they're very slow. So so we already know this, right? Very clearly that when things are in gas form or substantial, their molecules move a lot faster than when they're in a solid form, right? But
Oh
now,
yeah.
but now we are not talking orders of magnitude like we do when you are talking about speed of light squared. The speed of those molecules from gas to ice, that's not speed of light squared difference, right? It's not nearly that much.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make is that if we say matter is energy that is vastly slowed down, what happens to energy when it's no longer slowed down?
Well, I mean, it speeds up and it becomes more, there's more,
It's just energy, right?
yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
if you speed, well, when it's not slowed down, not if you speed it up. Never mind.
Right. So it's yeah. So the point that I'm getting at is on death, when you are no longer slowed down by the materialization of the body, yeah, where energy now? Now that restriction of being slowed down is removed, and you only energy. And when you're in an energy state, or you could say spirit, right? In that spiritual state, right? When you're in that particular state, your thoughts, your intents, your beliefs be the mechanism where energy slowed it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
So,
that. I like that.
right. So now when we think of reality, we get reality to be the slowing down of energy via intent, thought, belief, idea, expectation, etc. Yeah. So now, if we put this in the context of heaven or hell, if you die and you find yourself in a spiritual reality, what's the very first thing you're going to manifest? You're going to manifest and materialize all of your beliefs, your ideas, your expectations. Well, if you've lived the criminal, horrible life, and there you go, you're going to now materialize a reality based on that, yeah, based on those beliefs, those ideas, and of course, this is not a very fun reality, yeah,
No.
because typically you're believing in a reality where everybody's out to get you, where you're the victim, and God knows what. All right, so it's a nasty world. In other words, that's my point, though. We end up materializing based on our expectations, based on how we believe the universe works. So likely this is reincarnation, because when you die, you just rematerialize, you start again in something that you already know. Maybe some variation, but something that you already know. And then you get this looping reincarnation. Yeah. So
Yep.
now we are very much talking about the point, one of the core points and purposes of Way of Impeccability. It is to precisely prepare for that, but not at the expense of living. Some
Yep.
people live their lives preparing for death, but they pay a massive price. Yeah, they sacrifice everything to be ready for death. But what if it turns out that there's nothing there, and this is all just an idea, it's just a theory? Well,
Yep.
then you've wasted your life, right? So we want to get the maximum now in every single moment, and we want to be prepared should there be this opportunity in there. Now, if you think of all of the things in Way of Impeccability, all of this type of exercise that we're doing here, which is a profound perspective shifting mechanism, right? This whole session, these are all tools for perspective shifting, right? And it's to
Yep.
understand that perspective shifting to multiple perspectives. We learning to be creative in our perspective shifting, right? So at that moment where we wake up from death and find ourselves in a non-physical reality, for argument's sake, right? In that
Mhm.
moment, wouldn't it be really, really profound to ask, right? How can I see this moment differently? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Or
and
how,
also this is sorry, something a thought that just came to mind. Also, this is in a sense of uh reinventing and reincarnating essentially yourself while you're still alive.
correct, correct. Exactly. And that's a very profound thing. That's a very profound thing. Exactly. Very big deal. Very
Doing
big deal.
these sessions and these modules and this way of impeccability and new perspectives and things like that is a way of essentially still doing it while you're still alive. That way, you still can hold on to
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
in death.
Exactly. If that dividing mechanism is consciousness, is awareness, right? Between E and C squared,
Yeah.
right? We have some influence on what's going on how the M is constituted. Yeah. Now,
Yes.
uh, this is the whole philosophy of material of manifesting. Now, I'm not keen on this particular word manifesting because it has implications to it. I would rather say materializing as a
Yes.
better. And now, here's something that people forget. Yes, when especially when I mention this, oh, M is equal all this, right? There's this idea or belief or understanding or thought that I can rearrange the whole world. Yes, theoretically you can, but there's a problem, right? For you to rearrange the whole world, it's going to require inordinate power.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So you can do it theoretically, but you need inordinate power.
Yep.
Or, right, and to understand also that you're not the only one who is, right? Everybody else is doing it too.
Yep.
So obviously it's a collaborative event. Yes.
Yes, very much so.
And your efforts to change things or might impact somebody else, right? In a negative way, because now the
Yep.
world is not according to how they want it. Now they might be a bit flexible on this, so you have some leeway there. But if you're
Yeah.
going to rearrange it, then you are going to upset people because you're rearranging according to how you want it, not according to how they necessarily want it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is that if you look at this in the totality and understand that it's a collaborative event, and to change it requires lots of energy and, of course, impacts others. Or there's another way we can look at this too and say, okay, so if I want to change my reality, maybe what I've got to first do is unhook from the joint collaboration, right? Opt out of that
Yeah.
particular internet, right? And start my own little internet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, but this again, if you want to do things like this, you see how the potency of impeccability comes into it. You need to have your shit together. You want to now going to be creating your own reality. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is very key point here. So now when we look at this in the context of heaven and hell and reincarnation and whatever, and we say, okay, I see. These aren't necessarily how it works in themselves. They are just options that people have come to believe in, and this is what happens because they believe it. It's not a defined reality. You can create anything you like,
Yeah.
all depends on what you have and how you understand it. So it's your awareness. Now, the other point that I feel is absolutely imperative in this is that at that moment of death, uh, how coherent are you as a person? Yeah. Are you able to keep it together psychologically, if you want to call it that, spiritually, right? Rather than fall apart and disintegrate. Most people's psychologies aren't really cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're held together essentially by the body.
Yeah.
If the body stops, then they fall apart too. So, what we want to do is develop the ability to hold ourselves together independent of the body, to have a real sense of identity and purpose and moreness that goes beyond personality. Right? Because personality is transient. It's dependent. Dependent on local circumstances. Personality, as everybody knows, is your response to the world. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you go to a party, you're all cheerful. You go to a funeral, you're not so cheerful. Whatever. Your personality, how you react, it depends on the circumstances. It's a flexible thing. Yes.
Yes.
Now,
Very much so.
and everybody can be what others are should circumstances require. Sometimes they can be a little stuck and they don't get there. But the thing that's constant is your character.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, this is what we're working on, right? Because things like self-honesty, patience, deliberation, impeccability, trust, all of those are things in our dictionary of power. Those are things which I can hold on to and tie me together and give me a cohesiveness that transcends personality. Yeah. So
Mhm.
whether I am Sil or Jessica or Cher or Cheryl or Bina or anybody in the next reality, or Pete or Jack or Fred or Mary or whatever, makes no difference, right? Or some other alien species. Patience is across any type of material. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It transcends it. When my personality, this is a variable depending on circumstance. But
Yep.
patience and trust and impeccability, this is always something. So now I have a cohesiveness that is independent of a specific materialization, right? So you
Yes.
can think of this as like you're playing online games, yes? And well, I'm a necromancer in the one game, I'm a mage in another game. Those are all like your personality things. But look at games and look at the traits in games, right? And
Mm-hmm.
some games have this where you've got like patience or energy or whatever, traits. And those they tend to be more or less the same because there's only so many traits that you can really have, right?
Oh yeah.
And so even the games recognize that traits and your personality, your individual, your class, or whatever, your profession, all that stuff. Those are the variables, but of the constancy. So when we
Yeah.
look at it all in this context, it starts to gel together. It makes sense, no?
Yep, it does.
Yeah, and it's very cool. So what we are doing is we are preparing ourselves for an ability to learn how to play games, not to necessarily be good at World of Warcraft or Call of Duty or whatever, but any game, right? And you
Yep.
get this, experienced gamers, they can pick up a new game and they can play it fairly easily. You learn the individual things of the game, but there's consistencies to all games, right? So this is what we're learning. We're learning the abstract overview and how to deal with anything, right? Which is what this is about too. How can I
How
look at
to
this world?
adapt to everything.
Right. Exactly. How can I deal with anything? And look at this question right here. This is an absolute perfect question for what I've been saying. If I find myself in a new game, in a new reality, I can say, what can I align to? What a question. What a question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's make a clear understanding here for your dictionary of power, right? We've got attunement and we've got alignment. And I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not, but there's a very big difference between the two. Or not very big, but there is a difference, right? A lot of people use them interchangeably, but it's not the same thing. So the best mechanism that I have for this to illustrate it is a surfing analogy, right? So when you watch surfers and you see them out there, you see them kind of sitting waiting for the waves, right? And then every now and then you'll see them kind of paddle a little bit left or right, yeah, across, right? Or maybe they'll go a little deeper in, come in, but they'll paddle a little bit. You say, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? What are they doing? They're attuning to the swells coming in, because to a non-surfing eye, if you know nothing about surfing, waves are just waves. They all look the same. But when you're
No.
surfing, they're very different, right?
Yes.
They come in sets, typically come in sets of three. One wave in the set, this one will be the biggest. So they vary all the time. Also, the peak of the wave, where it's going to break, will also vary sometimes, but also depends on the waves, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so when they're moving, they're attuning to the waves, to the swells, right? And
Yep.
attunement, thus, right? What they are doing is putting themselves in the place where, if they can be in the exact spot where the wave breaks, they don't even to paddle to catch the wave. They'll just pick them up and they'll be able to surf, right? Uh, it will be very easy or with minimal effort. So, so the attune, or in this case, to align with the energy, because that's what a wave is. A wave is energy. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So now when we look at this from energy terms, attunement is positioning yourself to be able to utilize energy in the most efficient, effective, and easiest manner. Right?
Yep.
Or in our example here, in other words, attunement is to position myself so I can catch the wave with the least effort. Right?
Yep.
Now, catching the wave, riding the wave, this is alignment.
Yes.
Attunement is positioning, alignment is using.
Yep.
Alignment is being one with the energy. That's what surfing is all about, being one with the wave. That's
Yeah.
alignment. See? So now when we think of it in this way, and look at this question, when I say, if I'm wake up in a different reality, I wake up on some alien planet, right? And I have no memory of how I got there, whatever. If I say, what can I align to? I'm immediately, by implication, looking for the forces that are around me, the energies. Yes. And this
Yes.
is very important, because, all right, well, first thing would be, say, weather. Well, it's windy and there's storm coming. Well, I better align to getting out of the way of the storm or finding shelter. See? So this is a very profound question, a very profound question. And now the next question here, also ridiculously, what is anomalous? When we look at anomalies as messages from your deeper self, your subconscious, your higher self, the universe, whatever, right? Now we say, oh, anomalies are like clues to a detective.
Yes.
And do come in various forms. I mean, they can be prompts, they can be hints, they can be suggestions, they can be shoves, they can be kicks in the asses, they can be suggestions, it can be all sorts of wonderful things, right? But
Yeah.
all of it is they are anomalies are mechanisms which assist us to attune and align, right?
Yes.
When we look at attunement, we've got alignment and we've got anomalies. We've got a set of A's there, right? A little A
Mhm.
triangle. Very, very useful, very, very powerful. Yeah?
Yes, they are. And I was thinking, like, so when I hear the word attunement, I hear, like, especially when it comes to as you're thinking, or as you were talking about the surfer, they're also not just being, they're basically being one with the element of water. They are feeling along with their hands too. They're feeling the current. They're feeling which side dips down, a little bit more. They're really just
Oh,
attuning
yeah.
all of their as much senses as they could.
Exactly.
The biggest one, the
Oh, it's not
sense
just
of touch and
exactly,
sight.
exactly,
And
exactly.
they can
And the
it's
wind
it's
and
a
everything. Exactly.
yes, and it's a deeper respect for that. Attunement is
Ex-
also a deeper respect for that force, you
Exactly.
know.
And also, any surfer knows that if you don't attune, at some point you're going to get dumped by the wave because you're going
And
to
you're
be in the
gonna get
wrong place
hurt.
and the wave's going to crash right on top of you. And well, that's not going to be fun. So,
No.
you can't just sit in one space. You've got to move. You've got to attune.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's very important. This is very, very key to attune
And
to love.
then the alignment comes in when you're able to put it into an action and application,
Exactly.
if you will,
Exactly.
and align yourself just in that right, just that perfect moment to
Exactly.
be able to make,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
yours
Yeah.
essentially. The anomaly is
Yeah.
also, it's
Exactly.
deviating from the norm.
Exactly. Yep, yep, yep. So when we look at attunement, it is to optimize our time and space appropriateness,
Yes.
right? We want to be in the most optimal position in space and time, both together, right? The surfer moving to a different position, it's for the next set. Then they move back again because the next set is different or they go into a different place. So it
Mhm.
changes in time, not just space, right? So this is very important to understand is space and time, right?
Yes.
But it's about being optimizing appropriateness. This is what attunement is. Yes.
Yep.
Wow. And then with alignment is you simply acting on your previous optimization. You aligning with the forces of the universe at that point in time and space because you've
Mhm.
optimized your ability to align. Yes, that's what
Yep.
attunement is. So yeah, attunement is a very, very, very big deal. It's huge. It's huge. Another nice example that I like to think, which makes the tune part come into it a little bit more, is when you have an orchestra, right?
Oh yeah.
And time before they start, when they all tuning their instruments, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
And you hear those little plays and I go, and they just kind of getting the feel of the instrument, and sometimes they'll tweak the tuning. I mean, they already pre-tuned a bit, but it's yes, it's a bit cacophonous, but also it really sounds nice, right? When they're all just doing that, it's kind of got a really cool sound to it. But then what happens when the conductor comes? Right? There's silence, and then the moment he starts, they all in alignment with the conductor who gets things going, right? So it's
Hmm.
a nice example of attunement. You get ready, you position yourself, and then you're ready. Okay, boom, because they all are all the players. They know what they're doing. They already pre-attuned, and then when they come, they can just align to the conductor, and off it goes, right? And
Yes.
also this understanding that when you are in the orchestra, right? If you get out of tune, let's say for whatever reason, you sneeze or something and you lose your spot, and but this can happen sometimes. A bee comes and flies in your face or whatever. What do you do then to get back in? Now, and what happens if you're standing next to the player who has gotten the bee in their face and is now out of tune? Do you attune to them? No, you've got to keep yourself going and give them space and so that they can attune trying to do, right? You can't lose yourself in order to essentially help that person. You can only help them by keeping playing. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a good analogy also because sometimes we forget this. We stop playing in order to help the person who's not playing, but that doesn't help them because now both of you are out of tune with the greater universe. So we need to stay in alignment with the universe, what we're doing with our forces. Yes, we need to stay
Yes.
in it. Otherwise, we cannot really help anybody. When we keep playing our tune, our script, our sheet, right? In other words, when we can what's right for us, this helps the person next to us, right? Because now they can just tap into us and there you go, right?
Yeah, very much so. And sorry, I was
Yeah.
thinking how you were thinking about it and how it applies to my life and myself and how um I work with other people and things like that. So
Yeah, yeah. So
and
paying
just
attention to
society and
anomalies is a very big deal. We'll come
yeah,
back to anomaly and alignment and attunement in a later module. So it's a
yeah.
very, very big deal. Very big deal. Hey, I'm in this move. Oh,
You're no longer
uh,
screen sharing, by the way.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, because I wanted to really focus on this whole point of attunement and alignment.
Yeah,
It's a very,
so
very necessary point. Yeah.
in my okay, so where I'm looking at it as in my instance, when I'm not um in I guess in attunement in attunement with myself and the universe in that sense. Which is why like, it becomes necessary and imperative for me to kind of spend some time outside, whether it be in nature, whether it be by water or anything else like that, something that is naturally I guess produced by the universe. um to me that helps me a lot in the sense of being able to reattune myself, realign myself, but also have that a non okay, give me a minute, anomaly
There you go.
um that helps a lot in like being able to break away from old beliefs, old habits, um the old me essentially, as well as break away from the mainstream
Yeah.
of everything, of the generalized beliefs, the generalized ideations and things like that. um and to be able to kind of like beat to the or I guess drum to my own beat essentially. um I can see. Okay, so sorry, I was processing in my head as to how I would how it like why it's so, because I always wondered like why is it so necessary for me to, when I re I guess recharge, why I love being outdoors so much when I'm doing that. And it's
Mm.
because of the simple fact that I'm needing to reattune myself essentially to the energies of the universe, as well as also you know uh, deviate from old beliefs, expectations, habits, and align myself with what I need to do to improve my mood, my perspective, how I am able to counter interact with others, and keep away, like, shadow thoughts and deal with them and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, very important, very important.
I was out loud kind of just thinking about it.
Good,
Um,
good, good,
if
good.
I were to participate the next or sorry, if I were to anticipate the next moments and from that extrapolate, uh,
Extrapolate, extrapolate.
extrapolate. Okay, thank you. What do I need to do? What does extrapolate mean?
All right. So when you look at those sales charts that you always see in the cartoons or jokes sometimes, behind the meeting, and you
Yeah.
see there, sales for the month, and you see a hard line and it's kind of curving upwards. And at the end of that line, there's dot, 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 right? Which is like the next
Oh, that's
month.
extrapolating.
That's what extrapolate. You're taking a pattern, and from that pattern, you are extrapolating, you are projecting that things will continue in a particular certain way, right? This is extrapolate, taking the known and projecting it into the future. This is extrapolate, right? The pattern, taking a pattern and projecting it into the future. Yeah.
Okay. So this goes
Extrapolation
through,
is an incredibly powerful tool. It's a very, very powerful tool and skill. Yeah.
this goes hand in hand with thinking things through to the end. Am I
Yeah.
on the right track with that?
Oh
Because
yeah.
if I
Oh
were to
yeah. Oh,
anticipate the
absolutely.
next moments
Yeah.
and from that extrapolate, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
Basically, when you're thinking something through to the end, you're not expecting, but you're anticipating.
Correct. Correct. All right.
Okay. I'll let you
But
explain this better.
now we are anticipating based on a projection of pattern, right?
Yes.
And so that now when we extrapolate, we have a higher degree of probability that what we expect or anticipate will occur.
Okay.
So extrapolation enables us to have a higher certainty, a higher degree of expectation of it actually being so. Now, that sales chart doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be that way. No, things can change,
Yeah.
right? But should things continue the way they are, you get this, right? So it just helps you to anticipate with a higher degree of accuracy. Of course, it's never a 100% prediction. That doesn't work either,
No.
right? Does help. It does help. It does help
However,
us.
yeah, it can help in the sense of not however, but it can help in the sense of uh, uh making the appropriate changes that you need to make in order to increase the probability of that, of what you
Exactly.
expect to have.
So it is a mechanism for adapting, for attuning, yes, for
Yes.
aligning. It's a very useful aligning. Now look at that surfer. When they see the swell coming, they extrapolate where the wave is going to break. And when they're positioning themselves, that's what they're doing. They're extrapolating the movement of the wave, the speed of its travel, the size of it, the shape of it. And in that, they're extrapolating where it's going to break. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, very simple. So extrapolating is a projection into the future based on recognition of current pattern. Yeah.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, very useful, very, very powerful. I cannot stress highly enough what an incredible power tool extrapolation is. So put it in the dictionary of power, extrapolation. Yeah, yeah, it's a huge deal. Very, very powerful.
Stop, Daisy.
Does she stop when you say stop?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, she knows quite a few words. She's very intelligent. She's our dirt to dirt but intelligent dog.
Wow.
We
Oh,
call her dirt to
Daisy.
dirt because the way she tries to take, like, she has some toys that are way big, but she loves them. And when she's trying to run up onto the couch or jump up onto the couch, she miscalculates and misjudges the distance that there is.
All right, all right.
And
I
so
still
she
watch
can't
the
quite
that.
get,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Dogs like that. You see lots of videos of them on Facebook and YouTube, right?
Yeah, our animals are
Yeah.
not, they're not like, what people would consider like your most like, I don't know. They
They
keep
are
us
aliens.
entertained.
Yeah, they are aliens to us. They are aliens to us. All right. So
Yes.
now let's look at this a little bit more closely, right? If I were to anticipate the next moments and from that extrapolate, what do I need to do? Now, if you think of people in life, how often do they neither anticipate nor extrapolate?
Oh, so much. So often.
Exactly. And the moment you start just anticipate just the next few moments, just the anticipation alone helps you. And then if you
Yeah.
extrapolate from that, now you're getting to look into the future, as it were, and you have a plan. That's what that graph is for. It's to help you with your business plan, right? Or to be able to act like the surfer. So
Yeah.
it both of these, anticipate and extrapolate, are power tools. I can't emphasize them enough. They are huge, huge, huge power tools. Because now you end up, what do I need to do? Not want to do, but need to do. Need. See? Sometimes it's very obvious. Well, you need to move. You got a train coming your way, or you need to paddle like crazy because there's a huge bloody big wave coming. Yeah. If you don't want to get dumped by the wave, you better do something, get a move. So
So
it's
when
very simple.
people, so is that like when people also say like my life just never gets better? It's always because they're not attuning themselves, they're not aligning
Exactly.
themselves, they're not,
Exactly. Well, they're not aligning themselves to repetitive pattern. If
yeah.
you anticipate and extrapolate and say, well, all I see is the same repetitive pattern, well, then you better get off this track that you're on.
Yeah. That makes so much more sense though.
Then,
It
then
does, it
change
makes so much more
everything.
sense.
Because if you're seeing the same shit coming your way, change, 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 right?
Yeah. Like, and also the other one that I'm putting in my dictionary power is oh, where is it at now? Anomalate. My being able to say certain words today is really tough for me. Um,
Yeah.
Anomalate. They just there's so much with all those words go hand in hand. I love it, but um,
They do. They do. They all connect. It's very powerful to see the connections. Yes.
it is very powerful because once you're able to do all of that, then you can definitely extrapolate. You know, and change and can the pattern. It prepares you to be able to um change the same repetitive pattern that you've been going down and going
Yeah.
through and doing, because it goes hand in hand also with addiction. Okay, well, if you want to get clean or in sober from something, then you're gonna want to you're going to need to change, your patterns, your habits, your,
Yeah.
things like that.
Exactly. 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 Anticipate, extrapolate, do.
Yes.
Do is the key thing. What do I need to do? Yeah. 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 Matter of
What
fact,
about
hang on.
emphasizing the word do?
That's just what I was busy doing.
Oh, so we were just on the same thought process on that one.
My computer's just a bit retarded for whatever reason.
It's
So
okay. And that's something I've learned is that so many people get so like uh they get offended by the word do. A lot of that is because, or a lot the word do, the word retarded. And a lot of people, because people have used it in a very discriminating way or a very, bullying way, if that makes sense. but really, in reality, the definition of, the definition of retard, okay, just that one word, um, is or retarded. It's to slow down. It's the fact that it is slowing down. It is a
Exactly.
little bit slower.
Exactly. And it is being slowed down by extraneous things. For instance,
Yes.
if I've got too much baggage, then my movement is retarded. I can't
Mm-hmm.
move quickly because I've got too much baggage. Well, apply that to your life. How many
Yep.
people do you know? Most people I know are retarded because
Yep.
they carry around all this baggage, right? If I'm walking through water, my progress is retarded. It's not
Yes.
impeded, it's retarded. It's a difference. Yeah. So, well, again, if you're in an environment where you find yourself walking through water, up to your chest, well, don't walk in it. Go walk on land, for crikey's sake. Move,
Yeah.
change, different. So
Exactly.
being retarded is simply a matter of, having stuff that is impeding you. And that stuff can be anxiety and worry. What a
Hmm.
retarding effect. So being retarded is, when you actually deal with retarded people, and I had the opportunity to interact with them quite extensively. It's very interesting. They're
Hmm.
not nearly as stupid as what people think. They
No.
choose they choose to be
Yep.
because it's convenient. So at some point in life, they decided, this is my opinion, they decided to be where they're at because they didn't want to face responsibility. They wanted to be taken care of. They didn't want to take risks. And so they just stopped growing. They
Well,
did it to themselves. Because
yeah.
I was in the flea market, right? And they used to come around every week, the local place where all those people were, on an outing, in other words, right? And they had money to buy stuff. Oh, when they have to now suddenly spend money and pay and they can negotiate and start to wheel and deal, oh, suddenly they're not so retarded at all. They get quite cunning. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it
Especially
wasn't
even with
lack
people
of
with
ability.
autism.
Right. Right. In other words, it's not lack of ability that was the issue. It was lack of willingness to learn, willingness to change. And most profoundly, if you look at them and really get away from this, oh, shame, poor people, or whatever, and be a bit more objective and ruthless in your assessments, you see that in all their cases, they were avoiding responsibility.
Oh yeah. Well, especially with people who also like autism, Down syndrome, things like that. Those people are very like even people who are considered retarded. Those people like they're intelligent. They
Yeah.
know how to manipulate the
Yeah.
system. They know, like, you would be surprised of how intelligent they really are. When I used to work for a company called MNIS, it was working with developmentally disabled adults, essentially. What they consider developmentally disabled. However, these people could make the staff run, they can give the staff a run for their money.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like they know
Oh,
how
yeah.
to manipulate. They know how to manipulate the
Exactly.
system. They know how to get what they
Exactly.
want. As
Exactly.
and that's the
Exactly.
thing is like that's why I always told them like you're
Yeah.
smart
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because
But
like
that's my point. See, they found a niche in which they can thrive. They can be
yep,
taken care of. It's fantastic, right? So avoidance of responsibility. There's another common factor in that type of individual, and
yep.
it is how incredibly opinionated they are.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Now, it's not obvious at first. You have to kind of get to know them a little bit, but you will see on a regular basis, they are just incredibly opinionated about certain things. And that incredible opinionation gets them stuck. Like being opinionated about, responsibility, doing things for yourself, or working. Oh, hell no, working is out of the question, right? They just refuse. This is just absolutely no way they're going to do this. Yeah. So
Yep.
they have these and those opinions. Of course, when you become fixed in your opinions or immovable in your opinions, the end result is that you become retarded because you don't
Yep.
learn. So it's not a lack of ability. it is poor programming, right? It's like a computer that says, well, I'm not going to take on any new programs. The programs that I have, that's it. And they stop.
Yep.
Of course, your computer is going to end up being backward and retarded and unupgraded. And that's really where they are. They get stuck in a loop. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
They
no
do.
progression. There's no learning, because if they do start learning, then they have to use to deal with, like working, like taking responsibility, etc. So it's
Oh
very
yeah,
profound.
I know so many people who have, what people would call a disability, doing amazing things with working
Yeah.
and things like that. Um, and also it is perfect way to, to gain
Yeah.
attention as well.
Yeah. And that opinionation, it's a such a profoundly limiting a mechanism, because like I said, they don't learn, and
Hmm.
also they end up having reinforcing beliefs. Well, I'm retarded, I'm slow, and then that internal self-talk starts looping that pattern, and it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
And that's kind of sad sometimes to see that happen where it needn't to be. And now you've got, somebody whose life, even if they're very young, has basically just reinforced this pattern of belief. So,
Yes.
it's very profound.
That also
The,
goes hand in hand with, if I were to anticipate the next moments, and from that extrapolate, what do I need to do? That goes hand in hand, because if you're not, if you're constantly in a state of opinion, you can't conform, you can't
exactly,
change, you can't, you
exactly,
know,
exactly,
formulate the facts. You can't
exactly,
differentiate the facts from opinion,
exactly,
and
and
therefore it does slow your growth. Slows your.
exactly, exactly, exactly. And when we look at the heading, all of these questions are answering the first question: how
Mhm.
can I look at this moment differently?
Yep.
Retarded people do not ever ask that question. And when I
No.
say retarded, I'm not talking about people who are officially mentally challenged. I'm talking about your friend who's always worrying. They're retarded. Sorry.
Yep. The
Right?
friend who
Or the
also
friend that's very
refuses
conservative,
to,
right?
yeah, also the friend who refuses to make the appropriate changes to better their lives.
Exactly. I mean, look at conservatism. What is conservatism but a refusal to embrace change?
Yep.
Yeah, well, that makes you retarded. Sorry. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, look at the Amish. Are they not retarded?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
and also people who who refuse to understand the aspects of addiction. Like, okay, and reason why I'm saying this is because there was a Lyft driver one time, they sometimes will ask, well, what do you do for work? And so I'll let them know, stuff like that. And they're like, they're like, well, that that's just ridiculous. Basically they have this thought process of all addicts are bad people. And that, that we're just the scum of the earth, and we're definitely very much so set away from it, we're just our own entity at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that is because there is that whole opinion about the addicts and not being actual, like, people. They're people without humanity, or they're basically bodies essentially without any sort of humanity. However, that's not true. If you ever meet an addict on the street or a homeless person, people always say, oh well, they're dirty, they're gross, they're nasty, they're not, they're I'm like, look, they're stuck in their own bubble of unawareness first and foremost, and getting
Yeah.
them, assisting them in with the tools, in obtaining the tools by asking the appropriate questions, and by getting them to think, getting them to have some food for thought. Whether they choose to take it or not is up to them. However,
Yeah.
it really frustrates me with people's ignorance and arrogance when it comes to
Oh, yeah.
things like
They,
the people who choose to be retarded, um, people who choose to, uh, not learn and grow, and basically have a different outlook on on things in
Yeah.
life, on themselves, on other people. Just like, there's people that judge people, those of us who are, in the LGBTQ community. Um,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be like, a lot of people think, oh, well, we're just sick-minded people, and God didn't make us this way, and it's just like that's out of your own lack of understanding.
Right. Right. Right.
So
So, same thing, God makes people with 6 fingers. God makes people come out of the womb, right, minus an arm. God makes
yeah,
people that come out of the womb with having both sex organs,
yep,
hermaphrodites, they call it, right?
yep,
It's like, dude, get a clue. God doesn't make things according to how you think. You but ignorant of this because you don't see that stuff because you don't see it. You think it doesn't exist. Well, of course it does. Furthermore, when it comes to addicts, what is addiction, right? But it is doing behavior that you now kind of have to, your choice is a little bit removed when it comes to this behavior, right?
yes, at some point it does get removed.
Right. But I mean, I'm saying the classical definition of behavior, it's doing something that you don't need to do, but you do anyway because you're
Yep,
addicted to it, right?
yep,
So for that driver who said, well, addicts are bad people or whatever, said to him, dude, is it addiction, doing something that you don't technically need to do, but you do it anyway and you feel like you have to do it?
yeah.
Yeah. Say,
Well, then
well,
they get
I'm going somewhere. So,
okay.
so then that same person say, so that makes you an addict then also. He said, what do you mean? I'm not an addict. I said, yes, you are. You're addicted to sex. You don't need sex to live, do you?
Exactly.
So you're addicted to
And
sex. So it's not about the addicts. If addicts are people, you're bad because you're addicted to sex. You don't need it to live.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and
So
that's what
see,
I
end of
tell
end of
people
end
all
of
the time.
discussion right there.
I do bring up the concept of, in reality, if you truly think about it, everybody's addicted to something they don't need.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm
It,
like, just because they happen to use something that is not legal doesn't mean that they're bad people, you
yeah.
know? And that's the thing too, is they get really surprised when I say, well, I'm an addict in recovery myself, and what do you think about me now?
Right, right, right.
They get really surprised because of like, they're like, oh, I would have never thought that. And I'm like, well, that's why you don't judge people.
You're addicted to not thinking.
Exactly.
You don't need to not think. You don't need to be unaware. You don't need to be ignorant, but you are.
Yep.
And you do it repeatedly and repetitively and constantly and continuously.
Yes.
You're addicted to your own stupidity, in other words.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are
Nailed
made
it.
to get to ignorance. It's a very big deal.
Oh gosh,
Very big.
ignorance is everywhere.
Did you say you have to go? You have to go now?
No, I got a few more minutes. I said ignorance is everywhere, but no, it's 7:44. I have a little bit left.
Right. Okay. So read this, please. Yeah, yeah. Keep
Okay.
going. Keep going.
These questions are all perspectives with implications. As spirit warriors, as your personal equivalent, it is let me redo that because I'm trying to go too slow. Okay.
Yeah.
These questions are all perspectives with implications. As spirit warriors, as your personal equivalent, it's imperative we learn to get into a new habit of thinking differently. If or of questions, of insisting we can, and of holding ourselves accountable for our own state of being. I really like that. I'm going to reread that because I
Yeah.
really like how that
Always.
went.
Just 3 times. I always reread things multiple times anyway, just as a matter of default. Yeah.
Yeah. These questions are all perspectives with implications. So perspectives with implications. I really
Yeah.
like that. As spirit warriors, as your personal equivalent, it's imperative we learn to get into a new habit of thinking differently, of asking questions, of insisting we can, and of holding ourselves accountable for our own state of being. These questions are all perspectives with implications. As spirit warriors, as your personal equivalent, it's imperative we learn to get into the new habit of thinking differently, of asking questions, of insisting we can, and of holding ourselves accountable for our own state of being. I love that because of the simple fact that, like, they are all perspectives with implications, because they could be,
Yeah.
by implication, you're
Exactly.
shifting
Exactly.
your perspective.
Exactly. And these implications are profound. That whole paragraph can be put under the heading of capital R, responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Your responsibility to do, it's your responsibility to change, it's your responsibility to grow, to learn. It's your responsibility to think differently, to not be stuck, right? So
And
all of this
insisting that we
under this
can.
profound capital R responsibility, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Responsibility to be more.
Yes, definitely. And insisting that that's a possibility that we can.
Exactly.
I really, really love the word insisting. And reason being is because you can insist on something and be very adamant with it.
Exactly.
But also do it in a very productive manner. Something that's going to produce.
Are very profound words, yes.
Yes.
We're going to come to a session that's called Insisting on Extracting the More. Very powerful session.
Love it.
Yeah, very cool.
The key issue here.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The key issue here is, or the key issue here in this session is breaking that certainty that there's little or nothing we can do. That's never the case. Learning to shift and see the option is vitally necessary, deeply transformative, and part of Spirit Warrior's arsenal of potency.
Yeah.
I love that because
power is the arsenal of potency.
Yeah. No, and I really love that because it is breaking that and that certainty that there's nothing or little that we can do. Or little or nothing that we can do. Because, it's being able to change that aspect that, that, oh, I'm stuck. I don't have anything I can do. There's nothing I can do to make this better. Oh, no, there is. You know what I mean? Like, you can change your whole attitude on it. You might not be able to change the outcome, depending on the situation. However, you can change your outlook. You can change your perspective. You can figure out, okay, what's the gift in this? What can I learn from this?
Yeah, always there's more. Yeah.
Always.
Very, very powerful. Very powerful. All right. So this might be a good point to stop here because
yes, I'm gonna go to. Okay, that was page.
We're gonna do more questions. This is like a midpoint, you know what I mean, of the session. So we're on slide 14.
Yep.
Right.
I wrote that down.
All right. Wonderful. Brilliant. All right. Very exciting. Very cool
There are. I did write down words for hold on. Arsenal
of potency. Yeah. It's a nice phrase for your dictionary of power. It's an arsenal of potency. Yeah.
Yep.
Arsenal of awareness, you could call it too.
Yep. I know there are some words that I just messed that one up. But anyways, there are some words that I do plan on putting into along in with my next article too. But I'm finishing up the other one. Then I'll be done with that one. Then I will email it to you.
Good deal. Post it. Yeah. Post it.
I'll post it too. I've got to figure out how to post my. I don't know. Right. Lately, I haven't been able to have a I guess clear enough mind yet to be able to figure out how to post it from, to where it's not, people aren't having to like click on a link to go somewhere.
Well, just go to the group and say the group says what's on your mind, and you just make a post like that.
Yeah, but like when I write my articles, it's kind of hard to post the whole thing. like I want to.
Okay. So if you I mean, well, you could just
It
copy
might
and paste.
it might be the applications that I'm using. The app that I'm using for writing my articles, because some of like the app that I use makes it really tough for me to copy and then paste it to where I needed to paste to.
Ah,
Um,
ah. Okay. So, email, particularly Gmail, I mean, I'm familiar, but most email gives you the opportunity to make your own tabs. You know, like you've got drafts and sent and, mail.
yeah,
You can make your custom ones there, right?
I can do that.
So you can use this, and you can just in your drafts, for instance, right? You can make subcategories to your drafts, and you can make a subcategory in drafts that is for posts, and you never need to post them. They're just sitting there. In other words, you can use your email client as a word processor. And you can
Yeah,
write all your articles in there, and it's saved online. It's not saved on your disk, which is an extra advantage. And you can copy and paste, and it's got good editing and everything like that. So that's a very good way, a place to store all of your notes. You can make folders in your email, and there you go. Or if you don't want to save it as a draft, you can send it to yourself, and
yeah,
then put it in a folder that you make. And a very useful, very, very useful way of being organized. And from there, you can easily post it as well. It's just Control A, will copy everything inside the text box that you're busy typing, and Control C, and there you go. Or
that's a good
Command.
idea. I
Yeah,
didn't think about that.
yeah,
So I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's a
Very,
great filing system, in other words, to use. Yeah, yeah.
yes, it's very,
Yeah, a
very
lot of people
helpful.
don't know this, to do it this way, but it's a nice additional functionality that email. It's a word processor. Yeah. So.
Hmm.
And of course, too, it's not saved on your computer, which is also handy. You can access it
Yes,
from anywhere. So that's a very big bonus there. Brilliant.
very
All
much
right,
so.
Jessica, wonderful. We'll see you next time. This is exciting. I'm keen to continue. This is powerful stuff.
It is.
Again, overview. We're learning to train the brain to think differently. And by exploring possibilities, the brain says, oh, and to get into this habit of perspective
I
shift
get that a lot.
to multiple perspectives. Yeah, it's very
Yep.
exciting. Very
Oh
exciting.
yeah,
Have
as we're
fun.
talking, I get that a lot, and I get so many
Yeah,
different other, um,
yeah.
thoughts that come with it. So I love it.
Moreness influxes, right?
Yes.
Moreness influxes. Yeah, influxes of moreness. I know it's profound. It's very cool. And it's like those
Yes.
surprises. Like, okay, very cool, very cool. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. All right, brilliant,
All right.
brilliant, brilliant. Good,
Well,
good.
you have
Have a
yourself a
wonderful
great day.
day. Yes, you too. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Too cool, too cool.